I don't do the most, but I do a lot. I'ma make a toast, cause we still alive. No big, I feel like Pac. I shoot a shot. I'm coming in. Coming in. Shoot that. Hey, why not? Hey, yeah. I'm coming in.
Wake 'em up, wake 'em up. Wake 'em up, wake 'em up. See him still sleeping, so I had to shake 'em up. Shake 'em up. I kept it too real. I wasn't faking up.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, if you can hear me, please. If you can see me, please post in the comments. I hear you. Say something. Drop your city wherever you're at. Let us know what market you're in. Let us know where you're at in wholesaling. Meaning you're looking to do 20 deals this year, 100 deals this year, 500 million deals this year. Let me know. Just drop your city. Don't post all that. Just drop your city. Hope you guys are doing well. Very, very, very excited to share with you our new training. We have a new training out today. How to earn $47,000 a month. Reverse wholesaling. And we're also live on Hola Alfonso, ¿cómo estás, hermano? We're also live on Flippin' Paper, flippin.paper on Instagram. So please check us out there. We're going to talk about how reverse wholesaling can earn you $47,000 a month. We're going to talk about what it is. We're going to talk about how to approach the seller, how to approach the buyer. We're going to talk about a lot of things in this training. I'm super pumped to share it with you. And if you can kind of see me indirectly, I apologize. I'm looking at the camera and I'm also looking at the presentation, but super pumped to be with you. If you have questions, remember, if you have questions, post them. I will be answering questions at the end of the presentation. Please feel free to ask anything. There's no dumb question. If you don't know what reverse wholesaling is, I hope I can answer that. If you have struggled at it and you have some questions regarding the functionality of reverse wholesaling or the process by which you reverse wholesale, it's really just a clever name. It's just wholesaling, guys. It's not even reversal. It's just wholesaling. So, but we'll get right into it and we'll talk about it. Okay, we'll talk about what it is, why reverse wholesaling is important, where to start, approach to buyers, your approach to sellers, the option contract closing, or really any contract. We're going to talk about specifically the option contract, and then presenting the deal to buyers. Okay, so it's a step-by-step, piece-by-piece, lots of talking points. I hope you ask a lot of questions. If you have a lot of questions, please post them. Feel free. Don't be bashful. Any question's a good question. And thank you for coming to the group. By the way, please post where you're from, the market that you're wholesaling in currently. Please post it in the comments. I'd love to see where you guys are at. Okay? All right, guys, what is it? We're going to talk about the different steps. What is reverse wholesaling? You probably heard of Kent Clothier. You probably heard of a lot of other gurus out there, and these guys are super respectable, love them to death. And their process by which they teach and educate others in reverse wholesaling. They bring you to a seminar. They sell you on these awesome courses, and they're great courses. I'm just going to give it away today. I'm going to tell you exactly how to reverse wholesale. If you look at the diagram, you're going to see that reverse wholesaling starts with the buyer, actually. I know you got arrows pointing to the buyer eventually, but it really starts with your buyer. You're going to find your buyer and make a deal with your buyer. We're going to talk about the approach and how you find your buyer and everything else later, but step number one, you don't go find the seller, you actually find the buyer. So first you're going to find the buyer. Number two, you're going to find your seller and negotiate the price contingent upon walkthrough. Okay? And we'll talk about how that works. Step three, you introduce the deal to the buyer and show with a price range. Let them know you're still negotiating the deal, but you're going to show them a price range. Hey, here's a deal. It's 123 Main Street. It's going to be anywhere between X and X. Let me know if you're interested. Step number four, if the seller likes it and is ready to commit, you ensure that they will have the EMD ready to go. They have it prepared. So step four is where you're going to really see if your seller's got the deal or not. You're going to see if your seller's direct to seller. Whenever I say direct to seller, it's one of the first questions I ask other wholesalers that bring us deals all over the country. Hey, I got a property, I got a deal. I ask, are you direct to seller? Why does that matter? Well, if they're not direct to seller, there's probably another wholesaler involved, and another wholesaler involved, and possibly another wholesaler involved. Hashtag Atlanta. if you got like 5 wholesalers involved, that's not a bad thing if it's still a good deal, but it makes the deal very complicated and it can really easily blow up. So try to be direct to seller. Really do your best. But if you're not and it's still a great deal, you just got to handle it with care. Step number 5, you're going to finish negotiations with seller and get option or purchase agreement signed. All right. So once your buyer likes it and you've already showed the property and you know the EMD is going to be ready and your seller's still without a buyer and your seller's willing to commit to you as the buyer, get everything set up and ready to purchase. Step number 6, have your buyer sign the purchase agreement with you as the seller. Remember, your buyer is going to be buying it from you, not from your seller. So once you have a contract with your seller, okay, you need to have a contract with your buyer. You're the intermediary. And do you notice that the little red guy here on the screen is you, and you're having first you get a contract with your buyer, then with your seller, then you're going to sell it to your buyer. So it starts with the buyer. Step number 7, send all docs to title and ensure everything is appropriately communicated. I can't stress how important this is. And it happens all the time where you get things signed, you have your VA or somebody, you send it to title and you think that's that. But there's probably a lot of questions title has. Title probably doesn't know how to set up the deal. Okay, maybe you have to instruct the title agent. All the time we have to instruct the title agent who's buying, who's buyer number 1, who's buyer number 2. You would be the A to B leg. Your buyer would be the B to C leg. So there's so many different mechanisms inside these deals. It's just like any wholesale deal. You just have to instruct and disclose to your title agents so they know how to write it up. And they also know not to anger your buyer. Cough, cough, when there's a $50,000 spread and you don't double close. So we'll talk about it. Why reverse wholesaling? Why on earth would you want to do reverse wholesaling? Well, because you're more connected than your buyer. Your buyer probably is hopefully someone who doesn't know everybody, someone who relies on you to bring opportunities and deals. You don't necessarily need to be direct to seller with your deals. That's what makes reverse wholesaling so great, is it's low budget. All you need to do is find someone who's not nearly as connected as you and go out and look for the wholesalers that still have deals that haven't sold. Okay, this is a really easy way to make a quick buck in real estate. In fact, if everybody had a great buyer, they wouldn't need a buyer's list, would they? So think about that. Because you can find... why reverse wholesaling? Because you can find loyal buyers. They're all over your market. Loyal buyers are people that only buy through you or typically buy through you. I know a lot of real estate agents perk up when they hear this because you see these baller real estate agents in many markets that only work with 1 or 2 buyers or 3 buyers, and they are loyal. Those buyers stick to those real estate agents. Now, if you're not a licensed agent, that's okay. You can be the plug, the property plug, to that buyer, and you can find them. They're loyal. They'll stick to you. You need to find someone who is loyal to you as a buyer, because if not, they're going to go find another deal somewhere else. They're going to go on Facebook. They're going to go on Craigslist. They're going to be tied up with all these properties, and then suddenly someone else is selling them the deal, not you. So there's a way to go about this, and we're going to talk about that here in a bit. It's helped us earn incredible amounts of income, and we'll talk about it. Why reverse wholesaling? Because you're not competing. See, everybody's looking to reach out to the seller. They want to be direct, which is great. Okay, that's textbook. You want to be direct to the seller. But if you are reverse wholesaling, you don't necessarily need to compete. You just need to go find all the wholesalers that have properties, all the other realtors that have properties that are off market, and you strike a deal with them. You see if it's still available, then you bring it to your buyer. That way you're not competing with them to get direct. You don't need to be direct, okay? If you do enough reverse wholesale deals a month, you can make a killing in this game. Again, it's really going to depend on your buyer and how well connected your buyer is. If your buyer's not well connected, then you're going to be in good hands. And then why reverse wholesaling? Because there's plenty of supply and demand. There's so many wholesalers out there with properties, guys. If you're not on any of these wholesalers' lists, get on their list. You have local wholesalers in your market that are looking to put people on their buyers list. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Be on everybody's list. Try to be on as many people's lists as you can. In fact, create an email account just to be on people's list. If you can do that, you're going to have tons of inventory. And guess what? This is the best part. None of it's on the MLS. So once you have a great buyer who is not connected, right, because you're the property plug, and you have all this inventory, now you just need to repackage, send to your buyer, and give them a price range and see if your buyer commits. If your buyer's going to commit, then you got deals all day long. Remember, the more loyal they are, the more deals you can do. And depending on their bandwidth, you could really scale this thing and help your buyer out, because they obviously don't have contact with these types of properties like you do. Let's talk about approaching the sellers, how you approach the sellers. I'm going to talk about how we approach the sellers. When I approach sellers, they're typically wholesalers or realtors or anybody else who has a property or interest in a property or in a transaction that's not listed on the MLS. It's not out in the open. Some of the questions I ask is, hi, so-and-so, I may have a buyer for your property. Is it still available? Okay. And this is a great question to ask because many times you'll hear your seller say, well, I have a lot of interest in it, but it's not going to be available for another 3 days. I think a couple of people are going to snag it, or I think someone's going to snag it. So they'll hem and haw. They'll say a couple things, but you still want to ask that question to gauge motivation. Just like we gauge motivation with sellers, you want to gauge motivation with other wholesalers, right? You're now B2B, not B2C in a way. So another question. Hi, so-and-so. My buyer likes 123 Main Street, but we would need to get inside. How soon can we get in? Access is so crucial. If you don't have access to the property, it's going to be very difficult to sell the deal. Okay, especially when your buyer is a loyal buyer of yours and just wants to take a look at it, you have to get inside. It's another question that we ask. We do always ask about access, but this is a great question just to start up out of the blue when you have a wholesaler with the property. Another question we ask. Hi, so-and-so. I like 123 Main Street. I see it needs some work. What's the lowest you can go on this one? So notice that in this third question, I'm the buyer. Interesting, right? So in the first two questions, when approaching the sellers, we posed as the representative of the buyer, or the friend of the buyer, or the investor for the buyer, okay? In the third question, we're the buyer. It's okay to be transparent and say, hey, I got a buyer. It's also okay to say, I am the buyer. Either way, you're a buyer. It doesn't matter. So you can choose however you want to approach the seller. And last, we also use, hi, so-and-so. I can open escrow today. What's your bottom price if I submitted non-refundable EMD? I already know they're going to ask for non-refundable EMD. That's a given. It's already a given. So if that's already a given, I'm going to use that and ask that question and say, hey, if I was to cut the check right now, what's the bottom dollar? What's the bottom price? Excuse me. And just wait. Whenever you ask any of these questions, you got to be quiet and just wait. Just wait for them to talk. They're going to give you a story. Well, we had this under contract. Our buyer bailed. The roof was all jacked up, and the buyer didn't want to put on a new roof and change out the plywood. And then we noticed the beam was sagging, so therefore it wasn't really structurally sound, blah, blah, blah. So now you're opening more cans of worms, which actually is more leverage for you. So there's so many different ways to attack the approach for the seller in which you can help them. Let's talk about the buyers. Okay, it's good to meet in person and confirm they have the cash and desire to close on a property. So they need to not only have the capital or the means, but they also need to have a desire. Does that mean they need all the capital? No. If they have a hard money lender lined up and they've already gone through a pre-vetting process, or they've done deals with a hard money lender, great. If you can provide them a contact of a hard money lender, awesome. The point is they're ready to go. Okay, here's some questions that I would ask. What price range are you looking to buy off-market properties? I know it sounds super cliche, but you got to figure out their price range. Look, most hard money lenders are asking 10, 20% down, maybe more. And if they only have, 40 grand, you might not want to send them a $300,000 property. Okay, that's probably their down payment and some of the rehab. So you want to know what price range. Another question, what property style and year built are you looking for? Older properties require tons of rehab, which could be good because less people are hitting those properties up. Whereas newer properties don't require so much, but they're hotter deals. And it's okay for you to tell the seller or the buyers this. Look, because you want a newer property, I'm just telling you right now, these go quick. Okay, notice that you're also selling the buyer. You have to sell the buyer. This buyer needs to be on your level, okay? Another question we ask, because these properties sell so fast, exactly as I stated, because these properties sell so fast and many times the same day, how soon can you deposit up to $5,000 earnest money? Isn't that a very specific question? How soon can you deposit the earnest money? Notice how I said, I didn't say I need your earnest money same day. I said they usually go same day. So I set the expectation, okay, with the buyer. The expectation's there. They need to have the money. AKA, you better have the cash to write the check to the title company in question. Be ready with your earnest money. And last but not least, if I had a property that met your criteria later today, notice I'm urgency, later today, would you be ready to pull the trigger and purchase? If they say no to that last question, I would move on to the next buyer. You want a buyer who's ready, who is set. It's not hard to find buyers. A place where you should find buyers is networking events. You can find buyers at the Elks Lodge. You can find buyers in your local church. You can find buyers when you talk to realtors and ask them, who is your best buyer? I'd love to give you a fee to leverage your buyer. Okay, I'd love to pay you something to work with your buyer. I have off-market properties. I can pay you along the way. Okay? There's so many creative ways to find buyers who are not connected like you are. That is so key. Remember that. Who are not connected. If your buyer's on Facebook and you got all these wholesalers posted on Facebook, or if your buyer's on Craigslist and you got all these wholesalers posted on Craigslist, it's going to be a tough situation for you. It's gonna be rough, because then you're gonna have to like show up to the buyer and you say, hey, I got this property. First you send them the property address and the property photos, and if they don't say anything but they've seen it before, then you got to give them a price range, right? And the price range could be 110 to 120, and you tell them, I'm still negotiating the deal with the seller. They're gonna say, I've seen this before, I already saw this online. And then you say, oh great, yeah, it's my partner, it's a partner of mine, what do you think of it? And they say, well, I saw it for 125. Maybe you didn't see it for 125. Maybe you saw it for 110, right? And then the seller says, or the buyer says, yeah, my budget's like 118 for this property. Well, that's an $8,000 spread, okay? So you could go to your buyer and say, are you sure that's the best you can do? Can't you do a little bit more? Can you do 120? And then your buyer says, no, I'm gonna have to stick to 118. You're gonna say, well, okay, I'm gonna do my best to bring him down. So you go back to your seller, get a contract for 110, and then get your buyer to sign a contract. You collect the spread. Again, if you guys have any questions, please post them right in the comments section. Good to see you, Gil. Good to see Alfonso. I'm gonna wave. And if you guys can see me on Instagram, I'm on Facebook Live right now inside the group. So approach your buyer with a one-time opportunity, okay? Your OTO. If you are a member of ClickFunnels, you'll know what an OTO is. If you're a sales funnel guru, an online guru, or just a sales guru, whatever, and you learn how to sell people, you'll know about the one-time offer, okay? So important that you use that technique with your buyer. Now you notice in the background in this photo, there's a coffee shop going on. This is a great place to meet buyers. If you don't have an office, go to a coffee shop. Go to a nice place, maybe a nice restaurant. Meet your buyer there. Buy your buyer lunch, okay? Here's some of the things that I cover with my buyers. So here's bullet point number 1. My usual buyers have projects right now, but they make a minimum of 20% on their money all in, which equals the total purchase price, total purchase and rehab. that would be like 100K and they make 100 or they make 20K. So let your buyer know that. Look, my buyers make 20% on their money. That's a typical spread. You're looking for 20% on the back end. Most rehabbers, when they go in to buy a project, I know when we buy a project, we want to make at least 20%. Okay. For some, they say that's a lot. I say, okay, that's our minimum. You know, we want home run deals. So you're setting the stage for your buyer. So your buyer's starting to lean in a little bit. Okay. He's saying, wow, this is interesting. 20% of my money. That's awesome. And turnaround time's 3 to 4 months. Next bullet point. I will send these deals to you, and you only. In return, I ask that you take the time to evaluate each one quickly. Okay? It almost sounds like you're controlling the conversation now, which you hold the gold, my friend. Your buyer might have the cash, but what's more important in this conversation, it's the deal. Okay, the deal's more important. You hold the gold. So it's a classic sales close where you're dangling the carrot and you take it away. In this case, you're going to say, look, I got these deals. I ask that you evaluate them. If you don't, you know, something's going to happen. We haven't really alluded to that yet. We're going to get there, though. Okay? I need you to evaluate these deals quickly and give me an answer. Next bullet point. These properties are not on the market or the MLS. They are steeply discounted and will most likely need repairs. So you're creating value. These are exclusive properties. That's what you're telling your buyer. There is no other deal around like the deals I'm going to bring you. That's what you're saying when you say that. I have deals that are off market. They're not on the MLS. They're steeply discounted. Your buyer already knows that they need repairs. That's already given. So you're pretty much throwing fluff out there saying, look, they're going to need repairs. You're just solidifying and confirming that you're bringing properties that can be value add, whereas they're not on the market. So you're providing value. Last but not least, we say, if you decide to pass on the properties I send your way, I will need to move on to my normal list of buyers who perform quickly. So I'm setting an expectation. If you don't perform quickly, I have to move on and give it to my list. All right? And this is where you find this VIP list. You create a VIP list. Your 1 or 2 or 3 buyers that perform all the time. They get first shot at these deals. And you could do this reverse wholesaling, not using any marketing budget. Literally, no marketing budget. Let's talk about the option contract closing, okay? First, I'm going to explain to you right here in the camera what an option contract is. An option contract is where you have the option to purchase. Okay, it's very popular in wholesaling. It's very popular in reverse wholesaling. The option to purchase contract means you don't necessarily need to pay any sort of consideration or earnest money deposit. You can, and in some states, I think it's illegal not to. You can pay $10, you can pay $1, but typically you don't need to pay anything because you have the option to purchase at any time. It allows you the express freedom to market this transaction or this opportunity to purchase. Okay, it should allow you inside the option to purchase agreement. In the option to purchase agreement you see on the screen in front of you, that's just a rough sketch of one. We actually have an option agreement inside the file section of our group, Wholesaling Houses Flipping Paper. And in fact, Laura, if it's not there, if you can go ahead and post it there, it should be there. It allows you to be flexible. You're not obligated to buy. If you don't want to buy, you don't have to buy, but they signed this option to purchase. The option to purchase contract can also be exclusive, where you literally tie up the seller and they can't go market the property anymore. They have to market it, or they have to do it through you. Okay, so you're pretty much the new marketing channel. It's an exclusive right to purchase the property, option to purchase the property. So there's other ones similar, just a normal purchase contract, a JV contract. Sometimes we call the option contract a marketing contract. Okay. It allows you to market the deal. Remember, you're not marketing a property, you're marketing an opportunity. It's so key. If you say property, you could get in big trouble because now you're trying to sell a property you don't own without a license. That's not good. So be very careful. You're marketing an opportunity. Be upfront. Shoot for exclusive. You want to be exclusive. If you don't get it, be non-exclusive, meaning your seller could sell to 30 other people. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You're just saying that I'm going to find a buyer quicker than anybody else. Set the price with your option to purchase and set a deadline. So the deadline's going to be, 2 weeks, 14 days. You allow me the option to purchase anytime between now and 14 days. This contract is available. A lot of our contracts that we do non-exclusive, they say if seller by chance finds a buyer to execute a purchase agreement, this contract is null and void. That's nice. It's a great sales tactic as well, because then you pretty much let the seller know, look, I'm not tying you up at all. And allows you to post online or blast it out to your buyers. If your buyer, your reverse wholesale, your buyer that you've built this relationship, if they decide to pass on it, you're still able to blast it. So, good deal. Okay, so let's say you lock up the deal, you lock up the property. After showing the deal to your buyer, he said, yeah, he'd be interested. He'd be super interested. You locked it up with your seller, so you're good to go. Now it's time to close your buyer. Okay, this is the fun part. You need to showcase these 5 elements. You need to create urgency, create value, showcase the criteria match that, hey, this is exactly what you were looking for, set the deadline, and I even like to add a discount, okay? Because that's actually just another part of adding more value, right? So a pitch could look like this. Hey, Mr. So-and-so, Mr. Buyer, Mr. Best Friend, the property address is 123 Main Street. I only have a few hours before I have to send to my buyer's list, but you get first shot. List of comps are here, blah, 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 blah. You have all the comps. ARV, or after repair value, is blah, blah, blah. Access is lockbox code 9213. This seems to be exactly what you're looking for, am I correct? Price is $100,000, but I have a little wiggle room of up to $2,000. I will send to my list for, and then you tell them how much you're going to send it for. So you're probably wondering, why would you already discount it, Andrew? Why would you already put a discount? Remember that the price that I want, I'm going to add to that price, $2K, all right? And then I'm going to show him a $2,000 discount. Whenever perceived value has been shown, buyers tend to gravitate to the opportunity. It's perceived value, right? So your buyer says, oh, he's got a little bit of wiggle room. This is great. And it fits my criteria. And here are the comps. And ARV is X. Access is this. I can go look at it. So this is the pitch right before the close. This is the moment, probably the most important parts, because you already have the seller on your side. Seller's already said, yes, it's available. Yes, no one has bought it yet. Yes, I will sign an option contract with you. I'll sign some sort of agreement with you. Yes. So you're like halfway there. Your buyer now sees it and says, okay, this is fitting. I like this. You have a $12,000 deal in this thing. It was going to be $14,000, but you have a $12,000 deal. All right. So they go to the property. They like it. You already have a built-in discount of $2,000. They're going to ask for more. It's a very chance that they'll do this. It's very possible they'll do this. Okay, but you already have that built-in discount of $2,000. So you already gave it away. It's over. If they decide to take it, they'll be excited and glad and thankful that you have that $2,000 buffer. Count the $2K gone. You're not going to get that $2K back, and write up the contract. And that is how you do the reverse wholesale deal. So it's kind of a process going backwards. Remember, we're going to recap. You start with your buyer. Okay, find your buyer, make a deal. Find your seller, negotiate it. Introduce the deal to your buyer. Show them the price range. Let them know you're still negotiating. Okay, I think step 4 is supposed to say if the buyer likes it and is ready to commit, ensure EMD will be prepared. So step 4 should be buyer. If buyer likes it, make sure it's ready. Step 5, finish negotiations with seller. Get the option or purchase agreement signed. Step 6, have your buyer sign the purchase agreement. Step 7, send all the docs to title. Ensure everything is appropriately communicated. Make sure that title understands that you have one seller over here and you're one of the buyers and you have a buyer. Because guess what? There's actually more than one buyer. There's your wholesaler, they're a buyer, you're a buyer, and you have an end buyer. You have 3 buyers in this transaction a lot of times. You have the original seller, who is probably the homeowner. You have the wholesaler, you, and then your buyer. So yes, a lot of people inside this deal. And these deals are really easy to do if you have the golden buyer. Now, that's the real secret. That's the trick. Finding your extremely non-connected guy who's hungry for deals and projects. They're out there. Okay. So I got some goals for you. Challenge. I want you to find 10 wholesalers who regularly put out deals. They're always putting out deals. Okay? I want you to find 10 buyers who are not connected to wholesalers. How do you do that? You go to meetups. Okay, a lot of times they're not online. You go to title companies and ask about who their buyers are. You can ask title reps who their best buyers are. You can go to brokers, ask them who their buyers are. Say for a fee, I'd like to introduce some pocket listing deals, although they're not going to be listed to your buyer for a fee. Okay, church, okay, organizations, events. I will say this, and I don't want to sound ageist, so I apologize if this comes off as ageist. Older people, all right, are probably less connected to these wholesalers. Let's just be real, all right? If there's any angry people out there watching this, I'm sorry. You can PM me. Yeah, contact my lawyer. I'm totally dropping bombs here. Your older folks, your grannies and your grandpas, with trust accounts and tons of equity, and they're ready to buy for their kids. No, I'm kidding. They're ready. They're probably not connected as you are, and they're probably going to develop a great relationship with you. You're going to take them out, get in the Denny's Grand Slam, okay? Because they're 50 and older, right? And you're going to work with them and say, look, you're my buyer, okay? Third, get 10 written offers a week. We actually require that our team, each acquisition manager, write 1 offer. They have to make 10 offers a day, but they need to write 1 offer a day through our virtual assistant teams. So we need an official emailed offer sent every day by each acquisition manager. Last but not least, sell 2 deals a week. Okay? Now, let's assume each deal was, I don't know, a meager $5,000. Let's say it's $5,000 bucks. You do 2 deals a week. Okay, not hard in a growing, booming market. It's really not hard. The golden goose is going to be your buyer. So $5K. So that's $10,000 a week. That's $40,000 a week or a month. So it's very easy to make $40,000 a month doing this system, reverse wholesaling. All right, now that's $5K. To us in Phoenix, us Phoenicians, us spoiled Phoenicians in Arizona, $5K is really meager. That's very small. I remember back when I started, I wouldn't even reduce my property value or my deal price. I'd rather lose the deal rather than even make $5K on it. Isn't that sad? Our average size is anywhere from 12 to 14 grand. Okay, that's an average. And averages fluctuate, right? So you can take a little bit less and still make over $47,000 a month in this game. Okay, if you took $8,000 or $6,000 per deal, you're gonna get there. Your goal, if it's 40K a month, 50K a month, you need to break it down, reverse engineer it, and see how many deals you would need to sell a week. Start with your buyers though. Network like a champion. Okay, network. Find out if they're serious. Find out if they're ready. Build rapport, build relationships. And you got all the wholesalers in the world to bring you properties. Okay, we didn't talk about cold calling. We didn't talk about direct mail, although direct mail would actually be pretty good in this case, even cold calling. We didn't talk about SEO. We didn't talk about Facebook ads. We didn't talk about any of the other paid traffic or paid marketing channels because, frankly, you don't need it. If you want to grow and scale, yes, those are very important. But if you're going to reverse wholesale and make easy cash, get your buyer on the hook. All right, guys, that's it. Do we got any Q&As?
Yes, we do.
Perfect. We got a lot. How many questions we got? 2?
Three.
3 questions. Okay, fire away. What's going on?
Okay. Let's see. Who is the ideal buyer and where do I find him or her?
Oh, okay. Without being discriminatory, I'm going to tell you who the ideal buyer is. It is going to be probably someone who is older, someone who is less connected, someone who has a lot of capital, probably someone with a lot of properties that they can lean against. They can lean their properties for capital through whether it's an equity lender or hard money lender. They most likely don't get out much, or they do a lot of construction deals, or maybe they just do 1 to 2 deals per quarter or per month. Where do you find these guys? Like I said, networking. You want to find the non-connected buyer, and you want to build a relationship with them.
Okay.
Next question.
What price should you ask your buyer for if you get the deal from another wholesaler? And I do it for 2 parts. Are you afraid that your buyer will see the same deal at a lower price?
Yeah. So hence, make sure your buyer's not knowledgeable of the deal. What I would do is I would show the property address and the picture link to the buyer, and I would say, hey, I'm working on this deal. Let me know if this interests you. Now, that's the opportunity for the buyer to say, yeah, I've already seen this deal. Yeah, I'm already aware of this deal. I've already seen it. I saw it for 110 out there. Saw it for 80K. Okay, they'll probably tell you. And it's okay for them to know. It's okay for you to be transparent. Say, hey, I'm still negotiating. You could say I'm negotiating with an investor on this deal. You can say that. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter to your buyer. Your buyer should just know that they can make a buck. Your buyer already knows you're going to be making money. Your buyer already knows that. Okay. Another way you can make money, which I didn't discuss here, it's making the spread bigger. You can go to your buyer and say, hey, I got this deal for you. It's at $250,000 because I brought you the deal. Do you mind including a $2,000 finder's fee for me? Okay, you can make the spread even bigger. It's kind of weird. I know some people that do that. You can do that, but typically you already set your price when you give it to the buyer. It also it's a good taste in their mouth when they just know that they have to pay just 110 grand or whatever the price is, and that's it. They don't have to worry about an additional 2 grand. Some buyers are very grateful and they'll pay you, an extra $1,000 or $1,500 just for finding them a deal. So, good question.
All right, and then we have, do you create presentations or credibility packets for buyers to convince them to work with you?
I do. We do. We at TCO, we actually use video. So we have a buyer package that shows who we are. It's a PDF that we send in an email. We say, hey, this is who we are. This is what we've done. These are the homes we bought. And we also have a video that says, hey, a representative is going to reach out to you regarding your, credibility package for buyers?
No, credibility package for yourself for a buyer to work with you.
Oh, for a buyer to work with me?
Yeah.
No, not really. I should. That would be a great idea. You should. I just think our name handles that. I think we're lacking. I think we should have that. We should have a credibility package. We should have a video showcasing the projects that we do and the deals that we do. Absolutely. So without a shadow of a doubt, I would create a PDF slideshow or a long PDF that they can scroll through in an email. I'd also create a video, professional video, with graphics that show properties, projects while you're talking, a talking head video. I would do that because you show that, hey, you're transparent. This is me. You're working with me. I'm the CEO or founder of my company, blah, blah, blah. It really looks good. So great question. Who asked that? Great question, Isaac. Great question. All right. Is that it?
Yep.
Guys, thanks for hanging around. Thanks for being part of the group, Wholesaling Houses Flipping Paper. Get to reverse wholesaling. There's so many deals out there. If you set up a team just to set up reverse wholesaling, I know a few local guys that do that here. They do a great job. If you set up a team just to handle reverse wholesaling, you can make a killing. That's a 7-figure business. You can go nationwide reverse wholesaling. In fact, many people do. So, and they're probably like, shut up, Andrew, don't tell them secrets. Really hope you enjoyed this training. This training will be available on a replay, probably a little bit later today. We will show the replay here. It'll be on our channel, Wholesaling Houses Flipping Paper on YouTube. It'll also be here in the group. For contracts, check the file section of the group. We love you lots. If you have any questions, don't feel bashful to post them, and get to flipping paper, guys.
I don't do the most, but I do a lot. I'ma make a toast, cause we still alive. No big, I feel like Pac. I shoot a shot. I'm coming in hot.